Welcome to Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered. Lights, camera, Cyprus, shaping a Mediterranean film hub. Pavlos Neocleous, CEO of SEMIO Productions, moderates a star-studded panel discussion at the Cyprus Diaspora Forum 2026, exploring how Cyprus can strengthen its position as a leading Mediterranean film production hub. The conversation examines the island's growing appeal as an international filming destination and the role of cinema as a powerful tool for cultural diplomacy, showcasing Cyprus's identity, heritage, and global story through film. This panel discussion was recorded live on May 7th, 2026 at the AMARA Hotel in Limassol, Cyprus, hosted on Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered.
We're joined by an incredible group of guests who each excel in their field across acting, writing, directing, production, and shaping the film industry itself. We're genuinely very lucky to have them with us, and their presence alone elevates the conversation we're about to have. It's been a real pleasure connecting with our speakers in preparation for today. It has been incredibly insightful, and we'll try to share all these ideas with you today. There's a lot for us to explore today, from storytelling and identity to the bigger question of how Cyprus can continue to grow as a filmmaking hub. And the perfect place to start is by looking at where we are today as an industry. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself briefly. My name is Pavlos Neocleous. I'm the co-owner and founder of SEMIO, a film and commercial production company based in Cyprus. And for the past years, my work has focused on developing projects across commercials, documentaries, independent film productions, both locally and internationally. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to collaborate with remarkable filmmakers, cinematographers, and creative talent across Europe, supported by an academic background in filmmaking, film studies, and European cinema. At the moment, I'm developing a non-fiction series called Beyond the Sea. It's a cinematic factual series that looks beyond the surface of places like Cyprus, exploring culture through people, memory, and food, not as product, but as a language of identity and connection. The intention behind the series is to move away from the familiar postcard image of a place and instead focus on what exists beneath it. Stories carried through generations, through land, ritual, and shared experiences. And in many ways, that's also what today's conversation is all about. How we tell our stories, how we build an industry around them, and how we connect them to the world. So with that in mind, let me introduce you to my guests. I'd like to start by welcoming Lefteris Eleftheriou.
Hello.
Lefteris is a chairman of the Cyprus Film Commission and at Invest Cyprus, and he's been at the center of shaping the country's film strategy over the past decade. His work has focused on positioning, I've seen that. His work has focused on positioning Cyprus as a serious and competitive filming destination while building international partnerships and attracting productions to the island. He represents Cyprus at major film markets and festivals around the world, and in 2024, he was elected to the International Academy of Television, Arts and Sciences. Lefteris, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you for the introduction.
Next, I'd like to welcome Ioanna Karavella. Ioanna is a film producer and co-founder of Epic Pictures, based in London, with over 15 years of experience across independent film and television. Her work has screened internationally, including at the BFI London Film Festival, and spans everything from award-winning shorts to feature development. Alongside producing, she's also lecturer and head of production at Action Extreme, working across a range of international projects. You will get the opportunity to hear from Ioanna as she will be presenting her upcoming film, The Summer Will Come, at the end of the session. Welcome,
Hi.
Ioanna. Joining Ioanna is Athina Mandis.
Hello.
Athina is an award-winning Greek Cypriot writer and director whose work explores themes of identity, immigration, and family. Her films move between fiction and documentary, always grounded in a strong personal voice. Her work has received international recognition, including the selection of the screenplay Xenos for development at Torino Film Lab and the Sundance Institute, with her films also screened at festivals worldwide. Athina is also joining Ioanna later on as she co-presents their current development, The Summer Will Come.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me move on to Dimitri Leonidas.
Γεια σου.
Dimitri, γεια σου, Leonidas. Γεια σου, Dimitri. Dimitri is a British Cypriot actor working across film, television, and theatre, with a career that's taken him from independent productions to major international films. He's worked alongside names like Anthony Hopkins, George Clooney, and Cate Blanchett, and with directors such as Jon Stewart and Roland Emmerich. You may recognize him from The Monuments Men, or more recently as Scorpus in Amazon's Those About to Die. Welcome, Dimitri. Joining Dimitri today is his sister Stephanie Leonidas.
Hey.
Stephanie is also a British Cypriot actress with a really strong presence across television, film, and stage. She's best known for roles like Irisa and in Defiance and Helena in Mirror Mask, and has appeared in series including Snatch, Kilroy, and Endeavour. She's also worked on stage at London's Royal Court Theatre, earning great recognition early in her career. Thank you for being here. Agni Scott.
Hello.
Agni is a Greek Cypriot actress whose career spans film, television, and theatre internationally. She trained in the US on a full scholarship and has since built a body of work across a wide range of genres and productions. You may have seen her most recently in Find Me Falling, which became the most successful Cypriot film to date and reached a number one on Netflix globally. I don't know how many views, do you know?
25 million.
Right.
Data provided by Film in Cyprus.
Her career includes standout roles in The Hamburg Cell, Spooks, House of Saddam, and Bridget Jones' Baby, as well as work across both international and Greek language productions. Agni, welcome.
Thank you.
Daphne Alexander.
Kalimera, good morning.
Daphne is a Cypriot-born actress working across international films and film and television. She trained at Oxford University and Lambda, is that how you call it? Lambda? Lambda. London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts, obviously. And first gained recognition on the BBC's Casualty. Her screen work spans a range of major productions, including The Sandman, House of Saddam, and Kabul, as well as films like The Ghostwriter, Beckett, and The Fourth Kind. She has also been part of both international and Greek language productions, reflecting a truly cross-cultural career. Most recently, she's appeared in projects like Smyrna, My Beloved, and Minore, with new work on the way. Welcome, Daphne. Sula Christodoulou.
Γεια σας, καλημέρα.
Sula is a London-born Greek Cypriot novelist, poet, and educator whose work is deeply rooted in themes like of identity, migration, and belonging. Her writing draws from personal and collective memory, capturing the emotional connection between people, place, and diaspora. She is the author of 6 novels, including The Summer Will Come, and Alexander and Maria, which was nominated for the RSL Ondaatje Prize. Is that how you pronounce it? Ondaatje Prize, right. Her work reflects a strong commitment to telling Cypriot stories with authenticity and heart, and to connecting generations through storytelling. Alongside her writing, Sula is actively involved in education and mentoring, maintaining close ties with Cypriot communities across the world. Today, her novel, The Summer Will Come, takes on a new life as it is being developed into a feature from Ioanna Garavella and Athina Mandis.
Amazing.
Last but not least, Pambos Michailidis.
Good morning.
Hi. Pambos is a Cypriot entrepreneur and producer coming from a background in management, innovation, and business development. Over the past few years, he's founded companies across real estate and media, including corporate productions, which focuses on creating work with social and cultural impact. He's currently producing a documentary titled The Jewels of Aphrodite, inspired by his interest in Cypriot history and heritage. Pambo, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to Actually, we'll start the conversation. So I'd like to start with the Lefteris. Eleftheriou, Cyprus has made a clear move in recent years to position itself as a filmmaking destination with incentives up to 45%. Give us a brief overview of the scheme for our audience and also a sense of the long-term vision. What is the long-term vision here?
Hi. Thank you, Pavlos. Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful panel discussion today. Our film scheme basically came into being in 2019, around there. And it was the product of a research we have started in 2013 in order to find out if Cyprus can become a filming hub. When we finished the research, we presented to the government. They said to us, okay, go ahead, guys. I mean, we will create a committee which will evaluate application for film productions and TV productions, documentaries, animations, and so on in our country in order to make this industry as a priority sector of the economy. So it happens. And since then, I mean, when we started in 2009, late 2019, as you understand, COVID came after a year or so. So basically, we restarted in 2022. So that's why we are one of the newest film commissions in Europe. However, our scheme, our program, it's the most generous, I would say, in the European Union in terms of that we offer rebate up to 45% for all the expenses incurred in Cyprus. And we also we are one of the very few film commissions in the continent of Europe that we offer rebate for the so-called above-the-line expenses, which makes us very, very attractive. And that's why we work with well-known production companies around the world that they come to our island to shoot. And if you want me to mention some names, I will mention Warner Brothers, of course, Netflix, as you know, purchased one of our movies, The Find Me Falling, which was very successful a couple of years ago. We work with BBC, Channel 5 of Paramount, and so on. And another thing that makes our scheme very unique, I would say, is that the fact that how fast we pay back the producer, which means that once you finish your production in Cyprus, after 120 days, you get your money back, the cash rebate, you get it back in your bank account, which makes us one of the fastest payers film commissions in Europe. Because if you go to other jurisdictions, and I'm not going to mention names, countries, it might take more than a year to get your money back, and sometimes 2 years or 3, and sometimes never. We do it very fast, and we have track records, and you can check it out if you like. Now, with regards, because if I remember well, the question is what
long-term vision.
Yeah, longer vision. Yeah, longer. I mean, yeah, we have our weakness as a jurisdiction, as a country. We cannot hide behind our little finger. We don't have a studio, you know that. However, we are working very, closely with the government to create one. But it's a very tricky investment in terms of that. The approach of, build it and they come, it doesn't work. We have the money as a government to build a proper studio in Cyprus, but it's not going to work because other countries that they try to do something similar, they fail. In order to build a studio, you need a front runner and a businessman, a business owner who is willing to, first of all, to invest his money on studio, and second, more important, to be able to attract production himself or herself if he's a woman. So this is what we are looking for. We have the land, we have the money to do it, but we're not going to just build it. Because I will mention countries like Romania, another countries very recently, it's Jordan. They built state-of-the-art studio, but they don't have business. Because they don't have the proper person, the owner, who is going to bring, business in the country. So, in order for us to proceed to that step, we must identify the right person who is going to run that business, and then we will proceed with the studio. Another thing is that is the infrastructure, the human capital. We have very good professionals in Cyprus, but we need more. And this is one of the reasons that on our new the amendment scheme that we introduced last September, we are requiring from all the applicants to hire 4 interns, Cypriots, to work on the set in order to acquire the experience and become professionals themselves in the years to come.
It's actually interesting, because that takes me to the next question, which is for Ioanna, because you mentioned that we are lacking, obviously, infrastructure and education, right? So I'd like to ask you, Ioanna, from your perspective as a producer, what does it actually take to build a sustainable film ecosystem? You talked about ecosystem, a sustainable ecosystem. So I'd like you to walk us through that, because it's not just the business side of things, is it?
Sure. I think it's quite multi-layered. As an independent film producer, irrespective of which country you setting up your creative idea, every time you need the right expertise and talent wherever you're going to film. You need a strong IP, if you like, that you feel like has an audience. And I'd say that the last 5 years has become very, for all of us independent producers, we reverse engineer all our projects. It starts from the audience and we work backwards. The audience has become paramount to really build, a healthy ecosystem. We need support financially, whether that is governmental in the form of soft money, as Lefteris, is talking about the incentive. We need business, and financial support from greater sources, not the traditional ones as it used to be, studios or distributors, because the system is in flux. We need talent. We need talent in front of the screen, behind the screen. But most importantly, we need the connective tissue, which is, you go all the way to the audience and back, and you build engagement. And I guess every step of the way, more than ever before, is engaging each, pool as you go along to, continue showing, that there is value and importance to tell the story. And I'd say that one of the things that, the success that you're responding, Stellana's film, that didn't happen, it's really building that, multi-layered kind of relationships. And when it lands, it hits that audience and breaks out. And I think that that's very important, that, is connecting, all aspects of communities, for any film today to actually be successful.
Right. You also mentioned something really interesting. You said that incentives offset liability,
Yes.
which apparently, it makes it easier for anyone to invest. So, just how important is really making independent filmmaking viable, especially in a place like Cyprus?
It's truly important, because I think today we don't, the system of filmmaking and the business of film used to be that, you raise finance, you find a sales agent, you go and pre-sell the film, you distribute it. This traditional model is no longer. And I feel like, for the independent voices, because it's important to make films beyond the studios, you need the fuel, if you like, to, start, and put some grounds, for a project to attract other investment. The soft money is not money that you actually, in very simple terms, you have to pay back. So for any producer, that is creating a financing plan and is looking at how can I make my equity investment attractive, having incentives like this and bringing a project, that is culturally significant to a country that has an incentive, allows you to actually have more leverage when you actually sell your film, because you will quicker hit a break-even point and offer profits. So sure. I think it's key. Without incentives, independent filmmaking does not exist, and the traditional support of production funds that used to exist globally in Europe has become more and more, sparse, if you like, even within Cyprus itself.
Lefteris, why did it take us so long to get to that point, to form a scheme
Apparently, our scheme is based on the relevant European directive, which basically allows the member states of the European Union to provide cash rebate under certain regulations and conditions to filmmakers. Yeah, we are most likely the last country in Europe that we created that. I cannot identify the reason, to be honest with you, but countries of our size, like Malta, for example, or a little bit bigger, like Ireland and stuff, they had a very good background and infrastructure on that direction, on that industry, and that's why they were ready to establish their own film incentive scheme on time. In Malta, for example, if you go to Malta, you find companies that they are run by their grandchildren right now. Then the company before belongs to the father, and before that to the grandfather. So they have infrastructure. In Cyprus, we didn't have that infrastructure. I mean, we created now, and I want to believe that we are doing a good job.
Okay. Well, let me move on to Athina.
They're doing a great job, I should say, though.
No, Lefteris is doing a great job. I think that has to be absolutely said, but yeah.
Athinamu, you work across international development platforms. How important is it for a country like Cyprus to think beyond its borders from the very beginning?
And that's a really interesting question. I think as storytellers, we tell stories to connect with people. And when the story is of a very niche, local interest, we sometimes forget that there is an interest for that outside of its borders. And what international development labs do, which are places where you go to further your project, you get selected on them, you start to realize that stories travel. So, for example, with The Summer Will Come, it got selected onto the Whale Lab in Reykjavik in Iceland. So on paper, you might think, what's Iceland got to do with Cyprus? But one arrives there with their project and you realize that there are connections to be made with projects that are conceived in Iran or conceived in the US. So we are humans connecting with these things. And I think sometimes, especially for Cyprus, where the identity to kind of really own it, it's sometimes easy to think that what we have to say isn't important. Who's going to be interested in the Cyprus story, whatever that is, or the Cyprus perspective? It doesn't even have to be a story about Cyprus. But actually, when we connected telling stories, that we are the narrators of those stories, and we start to travel with them, we take Cyprus with us. It starts to play on an international level. And we see that with other countries where films travel, investment follows, because that place goes on the map. You might never exist until someone sees a film on that place, and you don't have to look far. You think about the economy in Skopelos, what happened after Mamma Mia. It went through the roof, and they're still living on that because people see these locations and they first go, I want to visit them. Then someone's thinking, oh, that will make a really good investment opportunity. Oh, I didn't realize that happened there, and money follows. So going back to what Lefteris was saying and Ioanna about an ecosystem, is that all of these things are connected. Like, we want to bring people, these things are not in silos. You don't just say, I'm going to give money to film, but where's that money going? It's wasted. It isn't. It takes time to kind of permeate through, but it comes back. So for every pound I spend in Cyprus, although I get 45% back, say, that pound has probably earned another 10 times within the local economy. And you look at countries like Italy. Yeah, the multiplier effect. And if you look at Italy, for example, in Italy, they have the different regions. Puglia is the poorest region of Italy, has one of the most amazing infrastructures for film. And that's been running for at least 20, 25 years. And it's transformed the local economy. But those films travel, it puts that region on the map. So our stories, although local, do travel. When we go to labs, we recognize that there are connections. And that's what's the important thing about film, is that it doesn't have borders.
Well, it's interesting because talking to Dimitri the other day, Dimitri, we talked about building a voice, right? And a film voice. And you started, mentioning places like South Korea as an example of how smaller nations can break through globally. What do you think they've done differently, and what could Cyprus learn from that?
Yeah, South Korea obviously it sort of reminds me of Hollywood in the 90s right now, because it's South Korea has its own sort of cultural heritage that is not sort of cross-pollinated with the Western way of making films. So it has quite a distinct flavor of its own. So you'll see today, you know, there's K-dramas, Korean dramas are really popular on Netflix. Not only that, it's the films they make are sort of punching well above their weight. You know, they're winning prestigious awards at the Oscars. So what is it you can learn from it? For me, I think they didn't position themselves downstream from Hollywood. In fact, the opposite sometimes happens, where Hollywood and the sort of major Western studios steal from South Korea. I think it's about having an attitude and a confidence and a style, and that is an emergent thing that you can't really create top down. I mean, it's important to have a lot of infrastructure in place, but the emergent voice that comes out of it is something that will feel Cypriot, but not necessarily about Cyprus. It's like, you know, what South Korea does really well is it has high concept content. It will do cross-genre stuff with a really kind of edgy, new way of telling stories. It's an emergent voice. And so I think looking for that is it's a hard thing, but you have to find, I mean, the world has changed so much, the way people view content in cinema, the language has changed. People are on their phones so much that the way you process story is different. I think that Hollywood is kind of is sort of stuck in a cultural malaise, and it's allowed smaller nations that have a much more distinct confidence and an authority in how they want to tell stories come to the forefront.
Right. Well, do we need to compete with the mainstream, do you think? Or, I mean, obviously...
I think the second you see it as a competition, it's like, it's more about like, it's style. You can't, outside of the business element of it, it's like, it's why I look at like Hollywood in the 90s, you're going, there's films coming from creative spaces that we just hadn't seen. And then either those spaces sort of run dry or they somehow get missed. But the sweet spot is when you have the infrastructure in place and then you allow these stories to come through. It's you know, perhaps some of the great writers of the past, if they were here today, would be filmmakers. It's just the tools that are around you at the time. What can you do to tell a story? If you think of like the models of filmmaking in the past, if you look at the French New Wave stuff, it was the whole point of it was to not be in the studio system. It was looking at the classic way of making films, which is you know, the lighting, the acting, the performances, the whole style was set. And after the 50s, people wanted something different, or certainly the French auteurs of the time were like, we're going to break all the rules, and created this wave of cinema. And I think cinema does come in waves. We speak about the Argentinian cinema today and Korean today. The 90s was about American cinema. The 50s and 60s were all the European filmmakers, from the Czech Republic, the Russian filmmakers, all the way to...
Hollywood had a small breakthrough as well.
Sure,
with,
exactly.
Tarantino and the rest of them.
It's I think it's finding emergent voices that can utilize the systems that you have.
Yeah. Well, let me move on to Stephanie. Do you feel audiences are ready for more unexpected stories, stories that move away from what we've seen and what we're used to seeing so far?
Yeah, I mean, since I've been in Cyprus for a few days, and I've been traveling around a lot, and you know, you see how vast, like this small island has, you know, the mountains, the sea, like this incredible land. And I think, like we were touching on before, like listening to some of you guys speak, I think it's whatever story you decide to tell from Cyprus, be it a rom-com or a Western, whatever the story is that you're telling here, I think the culture will shine through the story. And so I think it's about figuring out what story you want to tell and not worrying about having to tell it
in Cyprus, from Cyprus, it will naturally come through. As Dimitri was saying about a lot of sort of the Korean stuff, you know, like my daughter loves K-pop, you know, it's the big thing at the moment, it's K-pop. And she suddenly, you know, she's watching it and she goes, I want a ramen. You know, she's 4, she doesn't know what a ramen was, but she wants ramen. And it's like, it just made me smile because I just thought, you know, a story coming from Cyprus, you've got this rom-com and they're sitting on a corner eating log mothers. And I'm thinking, you know, your culture comes through, like the scenery you've got, you don't have to, you know, and I think it's whatever story, it will be different because of filming and shooting here. And naturally your style that you find here and what we find will shine.
Sure. And you mentioned the importance of education in creating generation of film lovers and cinephiles. How vital is this? And if we want this industry to grow, how vital is education?
I mean, listening to Lefteris talk, it was interesting because you know, hearing that there's so many different things that need to start being built together. So obviously there's the infrastructure, there's the tax gains and things. You've obviously got lots of things that need to happen simultaneously. And you need to, obviously, for young people, they need to feel like it's an industry that is, you know, viable to get into, that it is a job that they want to get into. I think it's not just about the actors, though. You know, you have to think beyond that. Like, the industry is made up with so many different careers. You've got from the things that people naturally know about the actors, the makeup, costume. You've got camera, lighting, you've got accountants, you've got location scouts. Like, there are a plethora of jobs that need to happen and educate people into how much work could actually generate here. Even people who are already, like, they're not in the industry, but you've got a massive like wedding industry here, for instance, and all the makeup artists and stuff here already, you know, they would lend themselves into the industry. You've got, you know, carpenters to build sets. And also another thing is, you know, just from a sort of more creative point of view, when you do get the work over here, if you've got agencies set up with, you know, for supporting artists, because when Americans come and film, like when I've filmed in Bulgaria or Morocco and places like that, they don't bring 200 supporting artists over with them. You have these agencies set up where they're ready and, you know, they use the local community.
That's one of the main long-term visions, isn't it, Lefteris, to build that kind of infrastructure so we don't need to look out of the country.
And it sounds, it's so interesting hearing you speak about how that all starts and happens, because, it's really important. Yeah,
sure,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let me move on to Agni and Daphne. Agni, you were part of Stellana's Finding Me Falling. Sorry to keep bringing this up, but it was an amazing success, you know, which became a global Netflix success. And Daphne, you were part of Tagalanda, based on Christmas carols, Murphy's Law, and others that relate and resonate locally. From your experiences working on those projects, what did they get right, and what do they tell us about the potential of Cyprus as a filmmaking center?
I mean, I was very fortunate to be in Stellana's film, and it had a good budget, so I had the most amazing experience in Cyprus. I got paid well, I was looked after well, and I had an amazing experience with all the other actors and the crew. I mean, I was a great doctor. I was actually on the plane the other day, and someone asked for a doctor, and I suddenly went, no, it's I could act a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. But initially there was a moment when I thought, I could pretend. Anyway, but digress. I had a wonderful experience, and I think what Cyprus has is that Cypriot hospitality. The people of Cyprus make Cyprus a very special place to work at. And our two kind of colleagues, the actors that were on the film, and they were from abroad, they will remember their time filming in Cyprus for a long time, because it was a very special time. The weather was amazing, which, you know, it makes it a great place to film, and the people were wonderful. I mean, that generosity of spirit, and we have that, which makes working here a very, very special place. You have that really personal touch, and that you can't take that away. And you get that a bit from Morocco and Tunisia. But I think Cyprus, that Cypriot hospitality, I think, is the key, the people of Cyprus, to make this industry a really viable and successful industry.
What about you, Daphne? Your experiences?
I absolutely agree with what Agni has just said. Cyprus is a small country, and of course, it's a very different feeling from working in England or, on American productions, etc. And that warmth and hospitality that we get here makes it a really special. You sort of connect with everyone. You become like a family. And it's a really lovely thing. And actually, I worked in Cyprus in prehistoric times, before Lefteris. I think the first time was 2011, when I did a film called The Palace with an Australian-Greek director called Anthony Maras, a film that did very, very well internationally. But at the time, it was extremely unusual for a film to be shot in Cyprus. And then I've taken part in other films like The Siege on Liberty Street with Stavros Pambalis, which again won many awards, and both of them were unforgettable experiences. And since then, it's really exciting how the industry has grown, thanks to Lefteris and other key individuals who are working hard to make this place viable, both for Cyprus and Greek productions and international productions. And it's lovely to see genres, as Dimitri was saying, appear. Romantic comedies, political dramas, even other, and it would be very nice to see.
Well, during the prehistoric times, as you mentioned before, we used to tell the story of the political problem in Cyprus, and that was an issue.
Yes.
Because as we discussed, we need to move on. We need to tell a story, and eventually, how Stephanie mentioned, we're going to get out of that, and we're going to push our culture through.
And also commercial stuff, like, as you said, the film Calendar, which was based on The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Yeah, it was, adapted to a Greek sort of landscape and family, and it had an enormous success with the public.
But Ioanna mentioned that obviously, for all these great things, business needs to work. So, do you want to tell us a bit about that, Ioanna? I mean, obviously, we need money to shoot films. So,
I think we live in very interesting times. I think there's a great opportunity. It was something that Dimitri was saying, that I think the business of film, on one level, you feel like it's all shifting. Streamers, and distribution, and traditional sort of going to the cinema. Behaviors are really shifting, but at the same time, new are emerging. And I think that what I find very attractive is that, right now, you can really find, a connection with who's going to watch you. And if you take that as part of your business, plan, and you start thinking with your feet on the ground and your head in the sky, if you like, you can actually make a lot of bold moves and have the Korean kind of attitude and have the confidence to say, okay, I'm not following the traditional models, but I am a disruptor and I'm going to find my audience. And, in the ecosystem we were talking about before, and why I find like incentives are very important, is continuity. I think you want, a place to create, a more longer term viable kind of career for the business of film to continue. So here, new producers from Cyprus can emerge, people that, understand, the chain of this business, which is very unique and very different, and how that if you stick it out, I think, the benefits are multi-layered. They're not just financial, they're cultural, they're longer term, and they kind of go, if you like, they have this kind of spider kind of evolution. It's not just linear. I invest in this building, I build the building, I sell it, I make some money. The way the business of film can really create an economy and a healthy, attractive kind of business proposition is, by seeing it for its complexity.
Sure.
And really believing and knowing that today maybe we have more power than we think, although it feels like it's all kind of temporarily collapsing.
Let me move on back on to Agni and Daphne. Obviously, part of the infrastructure in the industry is protecting our talent. Yeah. So you both worked in international productions. You've seen how things work on that level. How important are to set up structures to protect? Well, I'm talking about rights, and you said that you got paid properly and you felt nice. How important is that to building a sustainable?
I mean, artists and actors have struggled for centuries. I mean, it's not through Shakespeare time. It has always been a struggle. And I think even creativity, when people are struggling, they seem to create things.
True.
In a way. When people are happy, and I was just thinking actually about Cyprus. Why are more stories? Why are more films? And I guess because we're really comfortable here. The sun is shining, we're by the sea. It's just people are just really happy. They go out. It's just a very different, where actually you go to kind of Ireland, you go to dark places, you go to the north of England, you have stories, you have darkness, you have stories struggling, and you have these stories to tell, whereas people are too happy here. But one of the things which I am a fervent believer on, it's our educational system. Because I was educated, I went to school in Cyprus, and I see how my brother's kids are being educated in Cyprus. And our education is very... it's very closed.
You can use any word you want. It's fine.
It's very close. It's about making money. It's very structured. And what we are failing as a system is about actually getting kids to make mistakes, fail.
True.
Because you want to go to school and you want to explore, you want to expand your brain, you want to take risks and make mistakes where it's safe. It should be celebrated to be creative and to make mistakes and to write these stories that are completely bizarre. Whereas there seems to be kind of a linear way of educating people here, and this is safe, and you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an accountant, you're going to do something that. How are you going to make a living? And you're not going to be an actor to be rich, because that's not going to happen. But you want to tell stories. But it's not just actors. You want the storytellers. You want the people to write the stories.
Yeah.
And what is our voice? As Dimitri was saying, you want to find people that write, to write these stories. What is the Cypriot voice? So we're not copying. We're not kind of going, this is how it's done. This is now it's done. We want to find our own voice and express that. And I think that's really important. And that comes from education.
Definitely.
And can I add, completely agree. I also went to Greek state school, and there was no creative education there that I could take from. So I think it's particularly important with our journeys as actors who've worked abroad and in Cyprus and abroad. It's really important for us to show to the children of Cyprus, especially to girls who I think feel even more limited, that it's possible and that we can make a mark abroad and come back here and make films, that this is an industry that has legs and is exciting and is possible. Not just exciting, but possible. Because what I think the children feel here is that it's not possible. How is it possible for a Cypriot to become an actor? As a child, I genuinely didn't know how people became actors. I thought they were like models, you saw them walking in the street and they just picked them up because they had the right look. I had no idea there were drama schools or anything like that. And it's important with our work to shine a light on what's possible. And it's very exciting that things are beginning to flourish here, both English language and Greek language productions.
True. Well, let's hear from an author then. Sula, when a story moves from the page to the screen, it's no longer just yours, is it? So what did you have to let go? I mean, you obviously wrote the book, The Summer Will Come. So what did you have to let go for it to, evolve into a film?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I had to actually let go of anything. I mean, the core story is there, the characters are there, the themes, the feelings that I've evoked and included in the novel are there. What's changed is adapting it for a different audience. So my audience are readers. They can pick up a book, they read a chapter, put it down again, pick it up a few days later or an hour later. With a movie, you're sitting there, you're watching it from start to finish. The time is finite. Somebody might read my book. I've had messages that I stayed up all night and read your book. And then there's other people that said, I didn't want it to end. And I forced myself to read one chapter at a time. Whereas with a movie, you're sitting there from start to finish, finite time. It's a much shorter time. So transferring that written format into a visual format is very, very different. And I mean, Athena has written the most amazing script that works. Whereas when maybe on the surface, when you look at it, you think, oh, where's that and where's that? But actually, it is there. It's tighter. It's concise. The emotion is there. The characters move the story along, as well as the setting. I might have a page of description. I mean, I love my imagery when I write. But in the film, it might be 10 seconds or, 5 seconds of this, a flash image, something that works in the format that it's intended. And in terms of the audience, I believe that readers love seeing book-to-movie projects. They love to see, wow, how's that going to look on the screen? How's it going to feel? Who's playing Evangelia? Who's playing Elena? Who's playing Gosta? They already have an idea, and then seeing it on screen brings not only those people and that audience to the cinema, but also new people that love cinema. And perhaps after seeing the movie, they'll go back and think, I want to buy Sulla's book. I want to buy The Summer Will Come now. I want to read the book. I want to read that version now. I want to experience how that might be different to
more of the story,
to the movie version. Yeah, of course.
Thanks for sharing that. Bambo, obviously you love documentary. So you've chosen documentary as your main format. What makes it such a powerful tool for telling stories, especially when it comes to culture and heritage?
Hi, everyone. I'm going to try and keep it short, but I'm going to try and give you some good information. So, documentaries are very important because they help make change. Documentaries can give emotion and fact at the same frame, and also about ancient ruins, because usually stones, statues, things that have been looted and are not here in Cyprus anymore. It's important to be able to tell the story, because this is how you can make a lot of things to resurface, and a lot of things that are unknown can become known, because no one knows a lot of the history about Cyprus. That, let's say, the Met, one of the most iconic museums in the world, one of the three biggest, started from the Cyprus collection, because the consulate of the United States was a big looter and a friend of Abraham Lincoln's. And then he moved to New York and he sold his private collection to the Met. And he put as a condition to be first director. A lot of things literally from here, from where we are, were taken from Napoleon III and were taken to the Louvre. So people don't know this story. People don't know about the Acropolis that is also here. That is about the Temple of Aphrodite. So I want to tell these stories, and I have to use the documentary format because I don't have the education that everyone else here has, because I'm a passion person. I'm doing it to do good. I'm not doing it because
You talked about ethics as well. You talked about ethics and how you need to influence people in a more traditional way? Because I've asked you before, why don't you become a TikToker and tell people the stories that way? And you mentioned something really interesting about the documentary.
Documentaries have legitimacy. They help make change. They help also with policy in many different ways. And also they are timeless. Let's say also with movies like Tarantino, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, like that trilogy, it's from the 60s and it's his favorite trilogy. Like Snow White, the original cartoon was from the 30s and it's still one of the best cartoons in the world. And movies are timeless. And when you want to make change and people still can see it in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they can draw inspiration from it to do something good about Cyprus, because that's why I'm doing it. I want to help here.
I think filmmaking is also an education part of the whole system, isn't it? I mean, you educate people through film as well. Okay.
Just because I think it's not just film, it's television as well. In Cyprus, I think, because the film, I think it feels that the film industry in Cyprus is now thriving. There are things that are happening. There are creative people around. But I think money also, Lefteris, I don't know, but they have to, there's somehow, the television seems to be lacking. The quality of TV that comes out of this place is not up to the standard. And I think there's no money in it. I met actors who were in the film and they came for a day and they say, you know, if you're doing TV and they give you the lines that morning, it's like this is in a soap opera world, basically. And we just need to kind of educate people how to watch television, because from people that are abroad, I think that television is it's a frustrating industry.
Well, it teaches you about.
It teaches you.
Yeah, I mean,
you
it teaches
just have
you
to elevate. You have to kind of imagine that our audiences are smarter than that. I think.
It's not my topic, but I had a conversation with one of the two people that were doing Famagusta and Octolexis and this series. And I spoke to him and he told me that basically they do a lot of soap operas because there's demand from the TV channels, because soap operas basically it's like
how they make money,
longer.
Yeah,
like they can, like it's
short-sighted, isn't it? It's like short. It's about making money quickly, and it's just it has to change.
True. Let's focus on the good stuff, though. I mean, Lefteris. Sorry, Daphne.
No, I just wanted to say that thanks to Netflix and Amazon and the public in Cyprus no longer watches. You know, they've become educated through watching.
I think it's a bit stagnated, isn't it? I mean, the television.
There's so much content out there, and you know, my mother, for example, or people I know in Cyprus don't watch terrestrial television in Cyprus. They watch all of the stuff that is available to them. So they have become much more sophisticated. By
so, Lefteris, please tell us, what does our industry look like in 10 years from now, please?
Very difficult question, but I believe TV is taking over. It's taking over because of Netflix, because of these platforms that all of us we have in our houses, in our TV sets. Basically, I mean, before the platforms, we remember that TV shows, they were mostly soap operas and, you know, productions of a very, very low budget and stuff like that. Now it is not like this. For example, just to give you an example, Crown, Netflix. It was 10 million euro per episode. One season was 100 million euro. I mean, can you imagine that? And this production never broadcasted on any TV, any movie theater. You know, only on TV. And this is just one example out of I don't know how many hundreds of thousands. So I remember when I first became a film commissioner, a friend of mine told me, I told him that, you know, next week I'm going to London, and he told me, okay, I will arrange a meeting for you with a guy he's a financier from Switzerland, and please have a lunch with him and he will tell you very interesting stuff. I said, okay. And I went to meet the guy. I don't even remember his name, to be honest with you. And he told me, you know, I will give you an advice. Don't place your attention only on movies. TV is the new big thing now. So as a film commission, you have to be friendly with TV productions, and this is what we did. And when I go to events like that, they promote only TV productions. We are one of the very few European film commissions that are attending the event, like MIPCOM, for example, or MIP TV, because the old pattern was just movies. Okay, movies are nice, movies are good, we love movies, but it's not just this anymore. It's TV. So
yeah. Well, I watch series and films on my phone, so I guess it's not just TV, it's eyeball time on anything that has a screen on it. Yeah.
Just in hearing that, the other thing is theatre as well, not to forget. And I think that with theatre, it just nurtures the industry. Like if you're putting small plays on, it's cheap, and you can tell stories. Okay, sorry, cheaper maybe, but it's nurturing that world as well, and getting young people interested in it, and then also opening the world about how many different jobs are created within the industry in a much in a different way. Like to have theatre in Cyprus would be incredible.
It's not either or. It's all of it. Yeah. And I think that sometimes we make the mistake, well, that's making the money, we've got to go there. Or it's not. These two, it's exactly as you said, they feed each other. So for example, in London, theatre is where film producers, TV producers go to find writing talent, performing talent. They don't go and sit and read scripts. They go to the theatre. And Cyprus can absolutely nurture that voice there, and that feeds into TV, feeds into film.
Great. I'm afraid that's time up. I'd like to thank you all before we move on to the presentation of the Summer Will Come. I'd like to thank you so much.
Thank you
for being here. Very insightful.
Thank you for listening to Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for more inspiring conversations that are shaping Cyprus's global future. You can also explore more episodes on our website and selected video interviews on our YouTube channels.